Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a die-hard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. Wow. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, an Aaron Rodgers fan, or just an NFL fan in general, you are probably in complete shock right now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it has happened. Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever step foot on the field, is heading to Dallas. That's right, America's team just pulled off one of the most shocking trades in NFL history, and the implications of this move are absolutely massive. This isn't just a big move. It's a move that shifts the entire landscape of the NFL. If you love football, you know just how rare it is to see a player of Rodgers' caliber change teams, especially at this stage in his career. But Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office just made it happen, and Dallas fans everywhere are losing their minds. The question now is, how did we get here? What does this mean for the Cowboys? And what does it mean for the rest of the league? We've got all the details right here, so make sure you stay with us until the very end. You are not going to want to miss this. All right, let's start with the biggest question: how did we get here? Just a year ago, Rodgers made headlines when he left Green Bay for the New York Jets in what was supposed to be his fresh start. But as we all know, things didn't exactly go as planned. 4 plays into his first game as a Jet, Rodgers tore his Achilles, ending his season before it even began. From that moment on, the narrative around Rodgers changed. Would he come back the same player? Could the Jets really compete in a stacked AFC? And more importantly, did Rodgers still have the drive to chase another Super Bowl? Well, apparently, Rodgers himself has answered that question loud and clear. Not only is he back, but he's back in the biggest way possible, joining a Cowboys team that has been knocking on the door of greatness for years, but just couldn't get over the hump. And now, with Rodgers at the helm, this might finally be the year Dallas gets back to the Super Bowl. But let's rewind for a second. How did the Cowboys pull this off? How did they manage to land one of the most accomplished quarterbacks of all time? Well, it all comes down to a few key factors. First, let's talk about the situation in New York. The Jets entered this offseason still believing in Rodgers, but there were rumblings that the relationship wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Some reports suggested that Rodgers wasn't thrilled with the team's offensive philosophy. Others pointed to tension between Rodgers and the coaching staff. And let's be real, New York is a pressure cooker. Every little thing gets magnified tenfold, and if you don't deliver, the media and fans will be all over you. Rodgers has never been one to love the media circus, and maybe, just maybe, he decided that New York wasn't where he wanted to finish his career. Then you have the Cowboys. They've been good, really good, but not quite great. Dak Prescott has put up solid numbers, but when it comes to playoff success, he's fallen short time and time again. And with the NFC getting more competitive, Jerry Jones had to ask himself a tough question. Can we really win a Super Bowl with Dak, or do we need to go all in on a proven winner? And clearly, he chose the latter. This is classic Jerry. He loves making splash moves. He loves star power. And he knows that if there's ever been a time to make a move like this, it's right now. So here's how it went down. The Cowboys and Jets engaged in serious trade talks over the last couple of weeks. And while the details are still emerging, here's what we know so far. Dallas is sending multiple high draft picks, likely a first-rounder and additional compensation to New York in exchange for Rodgers. There may also be some players involved in the deal, but the centerpiece is clear. Rodgers is heading to Big D. And just think about what this means for the Cowboys' offense. This is already a team loaded with weapons. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best young receivers in football. Tony Pollard is a dynamic playmaker out of the backfield. The offensive line, while not as dominant as it once was, is still solid. And now, you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix? This offense just became an absolute nightmare for opposing defenses. Rodgers' ability to read defenses, extend plays, and make throws that very few quarterbacks in history could even dream of making this changes everything. Now, of course, there are still some questions. The first and most obvious one, how much does Rodgers have left in the tank? He's 40 years old and coming off a serious injury. We've seen quarterbacks defy father time before. Tom Brady did it at an elite level until he was 45. But can Rodgers do the same? From everything we've seen and heard, the answer appears to be yes. His rehab reportedly went extremely well, and he's been laser-focused on making a full return. The second big question, how does this affect the Cowboys' locker room? Dak Prescott has been the leader of this team for years, and now he's out. That's not an easy transition. Some players may feel loyalty to Dak. Others might just be in shock that the front office actually pulled the trigger on a move this bold. But at the end of the day, winning cures everything. If Rodgers comes in and starts lighting it up, this team is going to rally around him in a heartbeat. And let's not forget about Mike McCarthy. The last time he and Rodgers were together in Green Bay, things didn't exactly end on the best of terms. There were reports of disagreements, a lack of trust, and overall frustration. But now, years later, they're reuniting. Has time healed those wounds? Can they put aside the past and focus on winning? That's going to be one of the most fascinating storylines to watch this season. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. What does this mean for the rest of the NFL? The NFC just got a whole lot more interesting. The 49ers and Eagles were already seen as the favorites, but now, the Cowboys have entered the conversation in a major way. This is a move that signals Dallas is going all in. And in a conference where elite quarterback play can be the difference between winning and losing, the Cowboys just upgraded in the biggest way possible. As for the Jets, this is a crushing blow. They went all in on Rodgers last offseason, believing he was the missing piece to their Super Bowl puzzle. And now, they're back to square one. Do they roll with Zach Wilson? Do they try to bring in another veteran? The future in New York suddenly looks a whole lot murkier. One thing's for sure, this NFL season just became must-watch television. Rodgers in a Cowboys uniform? That's something nobody could have predicted a year ago, but here we are. This move has the potential to be legendary, but only time will tell if it leads to the one thing Cowboys fans have been waiting for since 1996, a Super Bowl title. What do you guys think? Is this the move that finally puts the Cowboys over the top? Will Rodgers deliver in Dallas, or will this experiment crash and burn? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications